Hey everybody, welcome back. Round 4 of the Tactical Transition Tips. This episode's topic is your family and your home. The tips that I'm going to cover this episode are for the close range. Be flexible, especially if you're in that very, very short term, and especially maybe if your transition isn't going or didn't happen as you planned. Be flexible. For the medium range, consider the needs of your family. And for the long range, you need to be thinking about legacy planning. Your transition has to be about not just you, but your family. And I'll loosely call that your home. Your transition obviously is going to have an impact on you. It's going to be a change, no matter how well prepared you are for it. Even worse if maybe you're not prepared for it. But the thing you need to be mindful of is it's also going to have a huge impact on your family, your spouse, your children. So be mindful of how it's going to impact them. You're on a journey that you're sharing with your family. So you need to be including them. This isn't just your transition, it's your family's transition. Work together as a team. Communicate, not just with your spouse and not just with your children, but with your entire family. And those, I'll call your family, anybody who's in your life that your transition is going to have an impact on them, you need to be communicating with them. And last, keep a positive attitude. Things don't always go as planned, and we know that. You don't have to be a veteran or first responder for any length of time to know that not everything goes as planned. So keep a positive attitude. So for the close range, like I said, be flexible. Don't try to take over your home, your house, the goings on. Your spouse has kept things running for who knows how long. And they probably have it down to a pretty good routine. So don't think that simply because you're now going to be home more or you're no longer going to be doing what you've previously done means that you can then come in and take over the house. In a weird way, you need to be the new guy and adapt to the way that team is running. Take this as an opportunity to give back. Be that one who your spouse has kept things running for so long. Your family's made accommodations for you. It's time for you to give back to them and adapt into their lifestyle, obviously while making your future plans work. But think about that adaptability. If you're in that short-term range, maybe your transition's getting thrust upon you and it wasn't what you planned. And so you've got to find a new career. I'm going to tell you right now, that new career is probably not going to come quickly. For those who find that next job and have it already lined up, more power to you. But it's going to take some effort. It's going to take some time. So stick with it. And again, be positive. Be patient, because though you might have a exemplary resume, you're competing against a lot of other people who want a similar or that same job. So just be mindful of that. That initial transition, and again, I'm right now I'm really focusing on those who are in that immediate range. We're talking less than a year out. And maybe, unfortunately, you haven't been preparing as much as you should have or planning as well as you should have. And so there's going to be some bumps in the road. Finances are going to be an issue. I'll tell you from my experience, I sat down with my HR rep, did all my paperwork, and they said, based on when you filed, you'll get your first retirement check by this week of this month. It ended up being a month off. So just understand that there's going to be some hiccups, and you're going to have to deal with it. Roll with the punches. Yes, if you're losing your career, maybe an injury is taking you away from this, maybe something happened that's taking you away from this, maybe it's something where you've decided unplanned, hey, I just need to step away from these careers. You're going to experience a little bit of loss of identity. And I know that kind of goes counterintuitive to what I've said before about not making these your jobs or these jobs your persona. I get that there's a lot of pride in these jobs. And so if it's happening right away, understand that, yes, you are going to go through a period of, let's call it mourning. I didn't want to give up this job. I didn't want to step away from this job. I wasn't ready to retire. Whatever it is, it's happening. Accept it. Embrace what you did in the past. Be proud of what you did in the past, but also understand that it's time to move on. And so your family needs you to be the best you can be in this transition. I'll use this term, and those who have been in the military have heard it, and I'm sure first responders have heard it also. Adapt and overcome. If you haven't prepared properly, if you haven't planned well, but your transition's coming, adapt and overcome. Face the hurdles that you're going to face and take them head on. Engage your family in it. Don't try to do it alone, but understand that you can get through this, and it may not be the best or exactly the way you wanted it to go, but life is going to continue, and it's going to be okay. Medium range, my people 3 to 5 years out. You got to consider the needs of your family. You need to be thinking about not just what you want in your transition, but what's your family need? And more importantly, are they ready for your transition? You want a new career. Is that career going to only benefit you, or does it benefit your family? Does making the change or the decision on what change you're going to make, how does that impact your family? You may want that killer job. Does that mean you've got to relocate your family? And is your family in a position to relocate? Are you going to have, especially children, are you going to have kids who are maybe just starting high school? Do you want to uproot them simply because you want a different job or you want to live in a different place? Is your spouse and your extended family in one geographic location? And does moving away from there simply because that's what you want to do, does that benefit the overall health of your family? So you need to be thinking about your changes, yes, but how are those changes impacting your family and what's their normal routine right now? So maybe that means you might make your transition, make a retirement, whatever it is, but maybe you stay put for a little bit and allow your kids to grow up and maybe move out of the house before you make any significant changes or relocations. If you're not going to move, if you plan to stay where you're currently at, get those nagging repairs that are lingering over your head on your house so that they're out of your hair by the time you make your transition. Additionally, is the house exactly the way you want it? Maybe you want that pool. Maybe you want that add-on. Whatever it is, you've got that time. You've got the next 3 to 5 years to get those done so that when you make your transition, there's less for you to be concerned about. So consider your family. Consider where you're at and where you and your family want to be at. If you're staying put, make where you're at rock solid. Take care of what needs to be taken care of. If the move or a move is necessary to benefit not just you, but your entire family, then start making those plans now. My long range people, those who are 10 years or more out, you need to be considering legacy planning. And this is especially important for those who are fortunate enough to becoming or are going to come to the end of their career and simply be able to retire. And if that's what your plan is, I'm envious of you. And if you've made all of the necessary plans and preparation to be able to just retire, great. But there still might be little things that you need to be thinking about. Do you need to downsize? Is it just you and your spouse? Is the house that you're in way too much house for the two of you? Your kids will be grown. They'll have moved out. Yeah, you might have your grandkids coming over, but do you really need potentially that big of a house? In the worst case scenario, if you're potentially going to be addressing less than perfect health conditions as you're coming to your transition, is this house accessible for you and your spouse? Does it, the typical, are you dealing with a back injury that no matter what is not going to improve? Do you need to have a 2-story house? Will your spouse need a 2-story house? So you need to be thinking about those long-term living arrangements. Along those same lines, have you or are you addressing the financial and insurance needs to care for you and your family's health long-term down the road? If you work for an organization that offers lifetime medical, great. But if you're not in that position, the insurance after these careers is quite expensive if it's not covered. So be thinking about that. Be thinking about the financial needs as it computes to the expenses related to medical care and what you or your spouse or your family might need. Get your trusts in place, get your wills in place. I'm not advocating for any one in particular, but get all of that in place now so that it's one less headache for you once you're done with this. Going back to your spouse, what do they want? You might want to stay put. You might want to stay in this big house or small house or whatever. But what does your spouse want? Do they want to move? Do they want to potentially move closer to where your kids are going to be? Not everything is about you. Remember that it's your transition from a career, but it's your family's transition for all of you. So engage your spouse and find out what they want for their long-term future. Balance your dreams with what's real. If you have this dream of living out of a motorhome and driving around the country, is that feasible for your family? Is your spouse going to want to be away from their family, their children for that length of time? Do you actually have the financial means to be able to do something like that? So it's one thing, and I'm not saying don't have dreams, but it's one thing to have dreams and then make them come true. So if you have the dreams and your spouse is on board with those dreams and those dreams are reasonable to your family, then make plans now to make them a reality. If your dreams don't align with your spouse or the needs of your family, then maybe you amend your dreams or, worst case scenario, put your dreams on hold. So in wrapping it up, remember, yes, you are transitioning from one of these careers. You've put in your time and you deserve to be honored. You deserve to be praised for the hard work and dedication that you did. But so does your family. And it's not just your transition. It's their transition also. Be flexible. Mr. Murphy is going to have a say in your plans. And understand that being able to roll with the punches is going to reduce a lot of stress. Communicate. Communicate with your family. Communicate with your spouse. Be engaged with your family and let them understand that you appreciate all that they've had to sacrifice through your career. And now is the opportunity to potentially give back and help them maybe achieve new goals, new dreams, whatever it might be. But you're doing this as a team. The one thing that we all know is there's nothing that we do in these careers that done by our alone or by ourselves. It's all about a team. And so your family is now going to be your transition team, and they're the team that isn't going away. So communicate with them, tell them how you're feeling, tell them what your dreams are, and don't make everything a surprise like, hey, I've transitioned and here's what we're doing, and make them feel like they're just the tail at the back end of the dog. The most important thing I would say is just always remember that not all of your decisions are simply to what benefits you. You have to be considering your family. To think that, or to say that I've done X number of years, these were extremely demanding jobs, so I deserve A, B, and C. No. It's you deserve to make your transition as stress-less as possible, but you have to be thinking about what benefits your family and how they can help you and you can help them have the best transition. Till the next time, I appreciate you taking the time to listen. Let me know, as always, if you have any questions, any comments. If you have a topic that you want to see me address or hear me address, please let me know. Send me a message, social media, the website, whatever it is. I look forward to hearing from you. Until next time, see you then.